Hello guys, today we're making my first ever sword guide. I'm going to be showing you like what to do early game, how to help yourself out early game, and sort of what to kind of do late game. So I'm going to start off by stat resetting and showing you the 5 classes. So you have power, which gives you bonuses to vitality and bonuses to affinity, which is good for sword, odachi, axe, and spear, which I don't recommend doing. So I don't recommend using this class. All the other classes for sword users are kind of ineffective. As you can see, like you have like wand, bows, and stuff like that. It's not good for us. So you want daring, because daring specializes in swords, odachi, axe, twin swords, and bows, and it gives you bonuses to your critical rate. So you want to go daring. And I'm going to say, yeah, I went from power to daring. Good. So now that you have this, and let's say you're a level 100, or you're going up to 100. So early game, you want to put power all the way until it's at 75. And this is just my personal opinion. So 75, then you want to go to 50 mind, because you're going to need mind to cast spells and stuff like that. You can even put mind like earlier in the game than what I'm telling you to do, just to get it out of the way. So then you go back to power, and you want to max out power. So like you'll need 75 mind eventually, so it's a good investment to put 50 mind, and you'll have bonuses depending on what weapons you hold, like the plus 13 stuff like that. So you don't really need to worry about that. So then you want to go crit. As you can see, the more stat points I put into Dex is the more crit I get. So I get 6 crit just from being daring. I think it's every 8 points or so. So yeah, it applies to your critical rate. So let's give you an example here. And I'm not going to go into detail for this because I'm going to link a video in the description to show you a better example of this, because wisdom can also give you crit, as you can see. So, but I'm just gonna go dex, because most people just go 100 dex, which is good, but you also want some wisdom in there for like more SP and stuff like that. So I'm gonna balance it out at like, let's say 60 or 60. Yes, let's go 60, and then all the rest of it to mind. This is not what you should be doing. This is just an example of an ideal thing. So I have 15 crit. I gained like 8 crit from that. It's great. So if you're a sword user, you want to go that way. So now I have the stats of a sword user. I have daring, I have power, I have some mind, I have dex, which is a really important skill. Like I said, bonuses to your critical rate, and cooldown. Can't forget about cooldown. Right? And for sword users, something that's very important is crit. And the higher your critical chance, the higher you hit, if that makes any sense. So if I have 80 crit, every time I would crit, I would hit harder than non-crit. And the higher the percentage of the critical chance is, the more DPS essentially, because you'll be critting every time, or like more often than you would with less crit. So that's like way better off. You don't really have to worry about defense and stuff like that. That comes with mags or resonance. So the starting thing for early sword users would be this guy. This guy gives you a snail magatama, which gives you 18 slice and 5% sword affinity. Sword affinity is damage to some perspective, and I'll show you why it is so important. And just simply applying points to power will give you sword affinity, which is why you want to do it. And I don't recommend playing more than one class, because it typically doesn't work out. So I'm just gonna put it out there and say that you don't really want to play more than one class. So really quickly, I'm going to show you this other mag that you also want to get. It's called an Asugi mag, and it gives you 31% skill force, right? You can get this mag from the quest, and it is later needed for 105s. I'm going to put a link in the description to the wiki page for the Asugi mag, just so you can see like where it drops and stuff like that. Although I don't recommend farming the Asugi mag until you get to the moon, and you can do this by using Amaris, which I will go into detail in just a bit. So you have Izuzu the warrior here, and you have quest. She'll give you a quest, and it says I'm bad with those things, and she'll give you an Asugi mag. It gives you rank 3, 31% skill force. What this means is that every sword skill force, for example, if I have Void Slash 1, it's not rank 3, it's rank 1. So that 31% skill force will not apply. I have Phoenix Slash 7, right? So it's above rank 3, so that 31% skill force automatically applies. So skill force is damage. I'm going to show you real quick, or I keep saying real quick. Now I'm going to go into my main character, and I'm going to show you why sword affinity and why critical rate is so important. So we're back on my main character. I'm going to show you why skill force, sword affinity, and critical force is so important. So to start off with, you'll get Amaras from Moroku at Negotiation 4, I believe, level 16, I know that for sure. And Amaras are these mags right here, yeah, mags right here, they give you 6, rank 6 sword, 50% skill force, so any skill above rank 6 will have that. You can roll cards and do stuff like that to get this rank. You can roll the shopping plaza to get the rank 6 skill cards and rank 7s, and you can put them on a weapon, stuff like that. You want to go Faded Contractor, because that's what we use on all ornamentations, for example, like Skyrending and Skyrending Fused, even Nayutas, you always, or Nayutas I went Heavenly Shield for other purposes, but I went Faded on this one. So you want to go Faded because it can give you 8 to 13, or let's go look at it actually. It can give you a certain amount of crit, a certain amount of slice, which is what most of our sword moves are. So, you know, that's there. So let's go to Ornamentations, and we're gonna pick a random mag here. I hope handguns. I don't think handguns can do it, but just in case they can, we're gonna go to, yeah, they can. So 8 to 13 slice element, 5 to 8 critical, dex 2 to 4, HP 10 to 17%, same for SP, more attacks, more survivability, and stuff like that. And just to show you that affinity is very important, I'm trying to close off the guide as fast as I can here. I'm going to pull out my sword, so I'm going to pull out my rhyme. And I'm going to say I have 38,334 attack. If I equip a carapace, which gives me 25% more sword affinity, it'll raise my attack. Now the reason my attack doesn't go higher, which it would if I was level 122, is because that's the cap right now. Cap is 8,400 and I'm only missing 26 sword affinity, but my attack does go up. So that's why sword affinity is important. You don't have to worry about crit force because crit force comes from the 105 mags. I'll put a link in the description to the Skyrending mag recipe where it drops, what you need to make it, and like where I also link the mags you need to create them, if that makes any sense. So we're gonna go skill force. I have 250, 250. It's typical for one fuse and stuff like that. Elements you'll use your 4th mag for, so I recommend Nayuta when you're using 3 sky fused, and Asugi when you're using 3 fused or 2 fused, a sky rending, and that. So it's great. As I was saying earlier, for weapons, like this is a rhyme, it has ice element, I put ice on it. This has thunder, I put thunder on it. You know, it varies, so you gotta keep that in mind. So I might have said something wrong earlier. I said for the mags, you want to do like, basically you want to use the Yuta for 3 sky rendings, and then Asugi for 3 sky fused. I just wanted to clear that up. But here's a pro tip for lower level players. When you're starting off the game, as soon as you have the smelting option and you have the artisan option too, you can use, like, say I have a Kagehide, it's level 60 weapon, so you'll definitely have this available then. So you'll go artisan option and you can level up your skills like that, and it'll have more skill force. So like your lowest skill, which would be in this case it would be Crimson Sword, would go up to 3, and if you were to do it again, either Void Slash or Crimson Sword would go up to 4, and then one of them would, and the other one would go up to 4, and then 5, and it will not exceed 5. You can use it to get your grade up, which is important for weapons, so you want to do that, especially on weapons you're going to use, so you don't have to use grade powder. So you want to use success plus 5, and which helps you get like a higher chance of doing that, of succeeding your smelt. So that's another good thing. We're going to talk about titles. There are titles that you can get, as you can see, like bow affinity, movement speed. There's a lot of titles like that. So for early game players, a good title would be Yago, which I'm currently trying to find. It's in the red title, so you're gonna have to level up your partners a little bit before. Here it is, Yagu GB. 20% sword affinity. All you have to do is collect 800 monster cards. Means kill 800 different mobs. It's not that hard. It gives you 20% sword affinity, and it's really good. Another one that's most common is Date Masamune. Date Masamune is almost filled up, as you can see. It has Sword Affinity 60%, Odachi, Axe Affinity 60%, and it's not that hard to get. All you have to do is get a Kage Hide in your possession at level 60. Another good one is that's underrated is Hijigata or Hijikata Toshizo, and this one 8,200 monster cards, 50% sword affinity, stuff like that. Now, if you're a lower level player and like there's no really good like affinity titles, which there aren't, because most of them are taken. Most of them are taken by players who come in and they just never play the game. You want to pick up some of these titles, like the Mine 6, stuff like that. And this is it's hard for sword users because we don't really have that many titles because there's so many of us. So you can get like Dex or Wiz, any of these work. The Sugi Kenshin is one of the good titles, which gives you element, just in case you can't really get anything else. So if all the titles are taken, you can go for a Sugi Kenshin if you can get a higher title. I have Teria no Masakata, so yeah, I have Teria no Masakata, so that's what I have, and it's completely filled up. It's filled up to the brim. It's insane. So those are some of the titles you want to go for as a sword user. If you want to go for affinity, element, or stuff like that, I gave you a couple names. So those are just some of the very few things. You can try out other things like the 8 crit one, the mine. You know, you can make all sorts of things, but mostly you want to go for those titles, the 50% affinity titles. They improve your damage greatly. In fact, most of it comes from my title, Teria no Masakata the 85th, which gives me 60% sword affinity, and it increases my affinity drastically. I'm not gonna change it because it's filled up, and I can't grab it if I change it. So, guys, this concludes my guide. I might have spoken too fast. I might have gone a little bit too fast. I might have missed out on some things, not have been as specific as I could have been. But I would enjoy criticism and you know, tell me how I did on the video, stuff like that, and ask me questions in the comments if you wish to do so. Thanks for watching.